He's not the worst player in the league. He's not the worst corner in the league. He's not any of the he doesn't deserve the vitriol that he gets for a lot of stuff. But like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and tell you that I've never said that he's awesome. Like, yesterday was bad. I can't do that. All right, now we got a bunch of questions. We got some takes. We got all kinds of stuff. Let's start off with Scott. Scott, thanks for calling. You're on the Hoffman Show.
Hey, Craig, how you doing, man?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
I'm good. I just, I'm so happy. And I mean, I'm happy, and we're 9-5, man. We were 4-13 last year. 4-13. And yesterday during the game, they said it a couple times, we've made the biggest improvement in the NFL in offense and defense in the league. And I understand the game yesterday, the officiating was terrible, and we're not going to cry. We won. That's all. We won. That's all that matters. And we've been on the other end of that so many times. I don't even want to talk about that, but we got our quarterback. We got a great coach. We have a great GM. Man, we're moving in the right direction. I just listening to people talk about this and that. Man, if you'd have told me last year at the end of the year at 4-13 that we were going to be 9-5 and in the playoff hunt at this point of the season this year, man, I'd be jumping up and down. It's just crazy.
Hey man, I hear you. Like, I think it's.
I fully trust the people that are making decisions now. Like,
yes,
we bring people in, they perform. Crowder had a great game. He hasn't played all year. He had a great game. They're gonna make good decisions, man. And Luke Randall, he wasn't Eckler running kickoffs back by any means, but he got us in good field position.
Yeah, they're smart people. Like, this is what competence looks like. And that's the thing. Scott, I really appreciate the call. Thank you. I don't want to confuse competence and greatness. And this is going to take multiple years to figure out if this is great. But it sure as hell is at least competent. And I happen to think that these guys are really good. I think Adam Peters is probably great at his job. I think Dan Quinn is really, 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 really good. If continuing to grow into his second head coaching job, great at his job. Certainly as a culture setter, as a game manager, as a lot of stuff. I have really one big gripe with Dan, and it's fourth down decision making in terms of when to be aggressive and when not to be. And also, I swear, there is one situation. Now I'm complaining after Scott just got us all happy. So I'm sorry, but I just saw this in my notes in the break, and I need to say this. This should have been in 1st and 10. Ban 23-yard field goals. If you have a 23-yard field goal, a.k.a. it's 4th and goal from the 5, just go for it. Outside of a pick 6 or something super wacky, the worst thing that happens, the most likely bad thing that happens, is you don't get it and you give them the ball at their own 5-yard line. Trust your defense. It's going to be fine. Go for the touchdown. Worked out. And that's the thing. A lot of times this year when I've had disagreements with Dan Quinn, whether it could have been easier or not is the counterfactual that we'll never know. But against the Giants, against the Saints, against some of the other teams where he's, kicked some field goals that I probably wouldn't have kicked or done whatever, it's worked out. And they have data and they have information that they're using and they've got smart people that are looking at that stuff. And, at the end of the day, you just kind of have to throw up your hands and be like, hey, what they did worked. They won. Winning is the point. And we, cool for winning. Let's go to Rock. Rock, thanks for calling. You're on the Hoffman Show.
Hey, what's up, man? I love your show, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. I wanted to say just a little, I'm very happy for our team. We've exceeded expectations, but, we got to call out errors when we see it. On that 4th and 3, the last play of the game, we had 2 timeouts in our back pocket, and our number one weakness is fatigue. I have no idea why we didn't call a timeout, and maybe if we did, Dan Quinn or somebody else could have alerted the game clock manager to potentially adjust. But even so, like, there's no point of not using. We did use a timeout before the 2-point, but you got to give our defense a chance to catch their breath, body to, formulate a plan. Another thing I wanted to say is tonight, if the Falcons lose to the Raiders, we could actually clinch by beating Philly next week, which means we could rest our key players for 2 weeks or potentially catch Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to rest guys for 2 weeks. But I think that the timeout point on the goal line, thanks, Rock, for the call. I think that the and also, like, you can clinch if you beat Philly. Okay. I mean, that's a tough task. They're pretty freaking good. But sure. I think that the timeout on the goal line is fair. Once they get the ball spiked and now you're lining up and all that kind of stuff. But the clock thing, it wouldn't have mattered. They already ran the play. They were not going to undo that. Apparently, it is not reviewable. It's very, very stupid that it's not reviewable. New York should have been all over that, but alas, they're not allowed to, so they weren't. But I do think the timeout on the goal line, they obviously did it before the 2-point conversion, and I think doing it there could have been good. But you're also facing a rookie quarterback, and do you think that he's going to execute there? Maybe not. And you just kind of trust your defense. So I don't think that's an egregious one. I do like it before the 2-point conversion, yada, yada. Last but not least, let's go to RC. RC, thanks for calling. You are on the Hoffman Show.
Yeah, Craig, thanks for taking my call.
You got it.
I want to know your opinion on a couple of things right now. The first one is, even though the kicker missed during the day, I think that Quinn should have kicked that ball inside the 10-yard line to give the Saints.
You're talking about at the end, punting instead of kicking the field goal?
Right. That one, Craig. And also, I noticed St. Juice has a problem with hands. His hands always up.
Yep.
You notice his hands not down. That's a problem. So I want to know your take on that right quick. I don't want to hold the line up.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, RC. I'm going to let you do the old hang up and listen bit because we're up against the clock as well. I mean, look, I think playing corner is a position where coming in for like one quick snap is hard. But Juice has had a problem with that when he's been a regular corner. Like, hands to the face is something that he gets a couple times a year, and his hands have constantly been too high. So it's actually one of his issues. And so, look, there's a reason that he got surpassed by Mike Sainer still. And now that Marshawn Lattimore's healthy, he became the rotational guy. And I will not be surprised if Benjamin St. Juice is inactive next week. Because if we can't trust you in a rotational role and Michael Davis is the better special teams player, why would you not have St. Juice be inactive and Davis be active? I was actually on some level, the more I thought about it, a little surprised. And especially considering his performance yesterday where he plays 3 snaps and picks up a key penalty on a 3rd down because he has bad technique. It is what it is. Like, I think my opinion on Benjamin St. Juice hasn't changed. He is an average, like, rotational corner, like number 2 type of guy that you will always be able to find better than. He's not the worst player in the league. He's not the worst corner in the league. He's not any of he doesn't deserve the vitriol that he gets for a lot of stuff. But, like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it and tell you that I've never said that he's awesome. Like, yesterday was bad. I can't do that. Silly penalty. And on the punt, Russell brought this up when we did the Take Command post game last night. Russell was our guest. If you want to check that out, it was a fun show. It's in the Take Command feed. And if you make the field goal, the game's over. And so I think you kind of just trust your guy. I mean, Greg Joseph, not the most accurate guy, does have a big leg. But also Spencer Rattler going 90 yards when you're already up 7. Limited timeouts. That's probably the right play. It's like the percentages. I'd have to see the analytics, and I frankly didn't have them in front of me. I'll see if I can find something in the break, like one of the 4th down bots that does that stuff. It's the Hoffman Show. One on the Team 980. Sorry, I don't have a strong take. Either one I could justify. Let's go to Andy on the phones, and then we'll get to Anthony's question. Andy, thanks for calling. You are on the Hoffman Show.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Love the show. Listen to you guys all the time. But the question I had was, like, we've all seen the glaring stats with regards to Kliff Kingsbury's second half of the season with his offensive coordinating. how much of yesterday was that, like, as far as play calling and scheming the offense, or was it the New Orleans Saints scheming the defense to be like stalwarts in a sense of kind of like shutting us down? Because our offensive output yesterday with regards to points was pathetic in the second half.
Well, I mean, it was in the second half, but it's a second half where Jaden missed Terry for 3 touchdowns that were wide open.
Correct, and that's great point. He definitely missed the mark by maybe a foot there.
So, like, that's the thing is, like, when we're talking about play calling, they scored 14 in the first half. They already had a field goal on the board in the second half. If Jaden hits 2 of those 3 that are as wide open as he'll have all year, and they weren't 60-yard throws, they're like 30, 40-yard throws. Those are relatively easy throws as far as deep ball goes. Like, we're not having this discussion.
Correct.
So I don't.
Good point.
So that would be my retort. I will say I think New Orleans did a good job against the run game. Some of that was Washington could not execute anything, and at that point I don't know what Kliff is supposed to call. Their pulling stuff was bad. Their zone stuff was bad. They couldn't run duo, like their straightforward 2 double teams man-to-man blocking scheme, like halfback dive in Madden. They couldn't run that. Like they couldn't block anything. But also it does feel like New Orleans had a couple of unscouted things that they did, which sometimes just happens in the NFL. But all in all, like I tend to lean on Kliff did, like, having watched 3/4 of the All-22 tape and knowing that I've got a couple more Terry deep shots that were just misses to go, I have no real problems with Kliff and don't think there's any kind of like regression happening here.
Duly noted. This last question, and thank you so much for taking my call.
You got it.
What happened to the screen game that was so prevalent in games 1 and 2? And that's my only follow-up question.
It's a good question. I actually think the screen game was pretty good yesterday. They had 1 to OZ. There was another one, I think, or I guess they didn't really have a screen to Diami. They had a couple. They had like a reverse to Diami that was really well executed. But there was one to B-Rob, I think, that actually got out a little bit. I mean, part of it is Austin is out, and like he's the running back stuff. Like that's a big part of it. I do think they got a little sloppy in some of the execution on some of the wide receiver stuff for a long time. But I do think Tennessee, they hit a couple. And then I think they hit a couple yesterday. So I'm hoping that it's back, and I'd hope that we get like some big explosives off of it. But I just think the details weren't very good there for the middle stretch of the season, and it does look like it's something they've cleaned up a little bit the last couple of games.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Got to polish it up before this weekend, that's for sure.
That's for sure.
You.
They definitely could use those explosives. Thanks, Andy. Appreciate you. All right, let's go to Terry, presumably not McLaurin. Terry with us here on the Hoffman Show on a Tell the Truth Monday.
Hey, thanks for my call. Look, I really enjoyed the game yesterday. I really want to chime in on the missed deep throws from Terry. I believe if Jaden, a.k.a. Slim Reaper, I believe he get more reps with Terry in practice, I think they'll connect better. And also, Chris Rodriguez, I wanted to see him play along with Brian Robinson. I mean, I like 26, the other guy, but I think Chris has done enough to get that position, to get more playing time. That guy's a downhill runner, and he's a finisher. And I think we need to get more physical up front, and I think he's the guy.
Well, it doesn't matter if your offensive line doesn't block very well, Terry. And unfortunately, like the problems yesterday weren't the backs. It wasn't McNichols. It wasn't Robinson. There's nothing Chris could have done. Like the run, there were dirty looks yesterday. The Saints had some stunts up front. The offensive line did a bad job of picking them up. Sam Cosmi missed a ton of blocks. Dieter wasn't very good. Allegretti could not get any movement on his guy. It was just they did a bad job blocking yesterday. And so I think the problem is I think see Chris Rodriguez as a late game closer where there's a set amount of plays that he runs really, really well. And if you're trying to run to close out the game, you can get there. And those plays weren't working early in the game, so they were going to try to close out the game a different way. My guess is, based off of what he's done and the amount he plays, is they don't trust him with the full playbook. He misses too many assignments, blocking, receiving, whatever. And so they put him into his niche little role, And he's really good at it, but you have to get to that point in the game. You can't bring your closer out of the bullpen if you don't have the lead late. And in this particular case, the lead late is not just having the lead late, but knowing that you can run the football to close out the game, as opposed to just knowing, hey, these runs aren't going to go anywhere and we're going to punt. So I think they wanted a more open playbook, and that's why Chris Rodriguez didn't get a lot of looks yesterday.
I understand your philosophy, but I just believe if you use them early and you can wear down the defense, then the whole playbook opens up.
I mean,
I just believe we need to start with the run.
They did. It didn't work. It was bad. All right, thanks for the call, Terry. Like, I'm sorry that I sound what do I sound, Anthony? Obstinate, sound annoyed. Just like, the game is the game.
Yeah.
The tape is the tape. And trust me, I felt that way coming out of the game yesterday. I was like, I felt like they should have run it more. I felt like they got a couple carries early, and they did have some carries early. I mean, but let's go through it. See how many runs I can see here. First run of the game, B-Rob, 1. B-Rob does a good job, gets 9 on his second carry, 5 on his third carry. Next design run winds up being a Jaden Daniels keeper, 1 yard. Zone read by Jaden for 5 yards. 1 yard gain. Gets you behind the sticks. That's in the red zone. That's in the red zone. That's in the red zone. Okay, now we're on the second drive. 74 whiff. B-Rob, 2 yards. They then get quick game for 6, quick game for a first down. So pass. They have that little jet pass to Diami. That's kind of a run, but it goes down as a pass. Big play. Next run is not until the next drive. Bad zone read pull by Jaden. That's a B-Rob penalty, so now you're in 2nd and 20. They eventually get their way out of that 2nd and 20. Cosme whiffs and Dieter loses on a zone read. That was a good give by Jaden, but they lose on the front side. So, like, good decision to give the ball to B-Rob. B-Rob's got nowhere to go. You have the OZ screen for 9 in that drive. You have, like, that jet sweep action to B-Rob. That was a good handoff. That was 7. And they score a touchdown. B-Rob -1. They have that naked bootleg on a 3rd and 1 out in the field that's snuffed out. And then they're in a 2-minute situation. That's all the runs in the first half. You had like a couple 5-yarders, you had the 1 9-yarder where B-Rob bounced it and it was good. But like how many times did 1 yard, 2 yard, Coleman whiff, Cosme whiff? Like, you can't run the ball to nowhere. It puts you behind the sticks. It puts you in a bad spot. And so late in the game, I think Kliff was like, we've had other stuff that is more successful. And by the way, the offense did not close out the game. The offense got them down to a point where Greg Joseph had to make a field goal and he missed it. So, like, for as much as I would love to see more running and the offense be more successful, like, I don't exactly know where the point of failure is. The point of failure is the run throughout the entire game.